Yeah, I mean, we'll sort of obviously just talk about France Island straight away because this is the big game of, you could arguably say, the whole tournament, but definitely of round one for sure. And again, it's the only game so far that we've seen the lineups as well, guys. So just keep that in mind. But I mean, what do you think about both teams overall? Like, which one's looking stronger? Like, what's your thoughts on both teams?
I think that both sides going with relatively strong starting sides, which was to be expected at the end of the day. This is pretty much the redemption game for both of these two sides, and it's the biggest game, like you said, of their Six Nations campaign. Whoever wins this puts themselves in the box seat, and of course a lot has to go right for them from this moment to be able to go on and win the Six Nations. There's no denying that, but at least you've beaten what a lot of people would consider your toughest challenge in round number one. Peter O'Mahony playing at number 6, Van der Flair, Doris, that is always somewhere that the Irish are able to step up. And then also across from them, you've got some very, very capable French backs, whether that's Mofana, Pinot, also Ramos at number 15, like you mentioned, Jalabert, going to be match fit and ready to rumble with Dante at 12 versus Bundy Arki. That is the head-to-head that I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, I mean that center combination battle is gonna be that's gonna be nasty to watch. I mean Dante and Faku, them two, it's just I think it's a perfect balance in terms of a combination there, in my opinion. And to be fair, Bundy Arki obviously was nominated obviously for World Player of the Year last year, so he'll be looking to kind of continue that form into 2024 in the Six Nations. But he's back obviously with Robbie Henshaw, because again, a lot of the kind of Six Nations, it was really with him and Ringrose. So it's interesting to see that Ringrose obviously isn't in this, because I think he's injured for the meantime, if I'm not mistaken. So it's an opportunity really for Henshaw to kind of like claim the spot maybe back for him. But I know for the Irish, there's a few new names in there that they've included. Probably the big one that's been mentioned a lot I've seen around social media is Joe McCarthy, just because he's coming in at the locking position, and they put James Ryan on the bench. So it's a very big call here to put James Ryan on the bench and start McCarthy here. But hey, Andy Farrell seems pretty confident in him in terms of, I guess, what he said in the press conferences. And yeah, he just seems like a player who, I haven't seen much of him, to be fair, guys. I know he's young, like he's like 22, 23, so he's a long way to go in his career. But I know obviously he was a part of the Rugby World Cup squad, got a few minutes in that. And, it's more of an experience to say that first one for him. But, he looks like the next kind of Irish lock that come up in their ranks. And again, they have a ton of good locks. So it seems like he'll be in good company in that position. But what's your thoughts on Jack Crowley? Because again, he's probably the big name and kind of the one that's been talked about the most, I'd say, in terms of the Irish lineup here and just the whole squad in general. Like, what's your thoughts on him?
Well, in some regards, both sides are without their star 10s because, of course, Ireland, no Johnny Sexton. For France, there's no Roman Intermac, but we did see quite a bit of Jalabert throughout the Rugby World Cup and seemed to be a very good option. I think that the bigger talking point, of course, for the French is that number 9 jersey, but we will get to that very shortly. But Crowley, I feel like from what we've seen in terms of the URC, what he's been able to do throughout that competition, he's a class fly half. And it was always going to be, at one point or another, Sexton was going to hang up the boots. And everyone knew that it was coming, but it was like Alan Wynne-Jones. No one wanted to accept it. Everyone said, no, he's going to play till he's 50. He's got another couple seasons. And I think for Johnny Sexton, the thing that was more frustrating for quite a few Irish fans was the fact that he's playing some of his best rugby at the time that he's retired. Like, he's kind of gone out on a high, which, to his credit, not many players get to do. A lot of players will be near the end or get a big injury and then say, look, guys, I'm past it. But Johnny Sexton, his combination and his work throughout that Rugby World Cup was actually some of the best we have seen from that man throughout that Irish massive winning streak. So, Crowley, big shoes to fill, but I think that as a young player, all of the Six Nations competitions, when you get a chance, it's either make or break, and I hope that he does make it, because if he doesn't, then it's probably about 3 other guys that they have to go through to try and work out who that next 10 is.
Yeah, that's where it becomes a bit difficult if this doesn't pay off in a way. Again, he has done pretty well, and just he's had experience, but again, this will be his first time, if I'm not mistaken, in the Six Nations starting. So it's a very big opportunity for him. But like you said, if you're going to be the predecessor towards Johnny Sexton, then you have a tough task in front of you. So it'll be very interesting to see how he kind of gets along. But I mean, again, I'm really the only other name I kind of want to mention this side is really Calvin Nash, who's obviously coming in at that number 14 spot, another kind of debutant in this game. Again, I haven't watched him a lot, so I'm not too aware of how good he is in that way. I mean, have you seen much about him?
Nah, he's a good winger, and he can probably add, a new. I don't want to say a new style, but it adds something different for the Irish out on that wing. Of course, we have been seeing one side Matt Hansen, one side James Lowe, but now, of course, with the change in Nash, I feel like he's got a little bit more power than Hansen, and that could come in very handy when you're facing off with Mo Farner, because, of course, we know that man likes to run over the top of people in front of him, and perhaps the Irish kind of knew that a little bit, that there was the option, although I would have actually been backing Belbari to be out on that wing if I was the French. So maybe not what they expected to see across on the Irish. But yeah, Calvin Nash, great winger. And I feel like he is once again like in his make or break tournament, because he's a bit more experienced than Jack Crowley, but he still wants to be able to prove himself. And in such a strong squad, it is always very tricky to get those minutes. Joe McCarthy, I feel the same way. I actually thought he did very well throughout the Rugby World Cup in the short amount of time that he was given. Actually looked quite impressive. So for him to be in the starting lineup here, I think is also a good thing. The Irish kind of mixing in the experience with a few of those young guys that they want to be the future. And that's something Ireland's done very well, is that academy of bringing up new players and slowly giving them opportunities. And it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, no, it's going to be an awesome game to watch. And I think just really just the last name I'm going to want to mention, but on the French side of things, and you mentioned him a bit, was Belbari, just coming off the bench, because he's someone who, again, similar to you, I think would have expected actually to start this game. But I mean, it's kind of it's interesting, but also kind of tactical in a way. They obviously see Mo Farner obviously been playing the number 11 spot, because they've noticed in the previous years where they've kind of been out-muscled in those kind of wing areas. So it makes sense that they're kind of going for bigger guys in those positions. So, yeah, it's going to be really fascinating to see how these two sides go. Again, I mean, Uni Antonio, of course, did get a kind of that yellow card in last year's Six Nations that kind of flipped the way for Ireland to kind of prevail in that game and kind of turn the table for them. So hopefully there isn't one kind of game-changing moment like that, to kind of, because you want it to be pretty balanced throughout and see a lot of tries. And again, this game will be played in Marseille, as of course the Stade de France Stadium is being kind of I guess used for the meantime, kind of in preparation for the Olympics in the summer. So it's going to be fascinating to see how that game goes in Marseille, because again, when I was there, it's a very it can get electric. So it's going to be a good game for sure, and yeah, just a great place to host that game. But yeah, just in terms of, I guess, your kind of one-to-watch player for this one, who's kind of quite keeping your eye out in this game?
So starting with the away side, the Irish, I mean, I mentioned about him in the previous podcast as well, but Bundy Aki at 12, I think that man is going to be able to bring so much to this Irish attack as well as their defence. Having Dante across from him, that is a pretty daunting task for any inside centre. And something that Dante does so well is get those turnovers in the breakdown. So I'm wondering whether or not we see Bundy Aki in terms of, like, he'll probably have a chat to that loose forward trio and say, boys, we can't let Dante in here, because he does just get locked over the ball and then you can't move him. But if the ball gets shifted out to Bundy Aki, that is when the danger happens. That's where he's got James Lowe with him, Hugo Keenan join the line. I think that Bundy Aki is the key for the Irish in this match. And then for the French, you see what I did there?
I see what you did there. I just see it.
For the French, I am going to go, well, I could say Jonathan Dante, seeing as I've sucked him off for 2 minutes, but I would say instead that I am going to go with Damien Penaud. Out on that right wing. Yeah. He knows how to score tries. He does it every year in the Six Nations. People think at some stage he's going to be out of form, but he just keeps going. So Damien Penaud, I'm going with as the French key.
Yeah, no, I like it. I mean, he's always been a fantastic player for the French, and he was top try scorer last season as well. So he'll be kind of looking to continue that going for this season in this competition. But Yeah, for me, I mean, again, I think we've already mentioned his name, but I think Matthew Jalibert is probably the one player that I'm looking out for in this game for the French. I just think that battle in the 10s between Crowley and Jalibert is going to be really fascinating because, I mean, I've always considered Matthew Jalibert as a world-class 10. I mean, it's crazy how France actually have two world-class 10s in terms of Romain Ntamack and Jalibert. I mean, there's not a lot of teams that have that. I think it's just, yeah, they're kind of lucky in that sense. So I just think he can take his opportunity and just kind of grasp it going into this game. But yeah, I guess in terms of the Irish, I mean, there's just so many players can go for here. I mean, every player is like awesome to watch. I mean, you're looking at Josh. I mean, I'm looking straight away at Josh Van der Vaart because he's just, he's always a very crucial player towards how the Irish play, and kind of he determines a lot in how they do within the breakdown. But to be fair, I'm actually going to say, yeah, just Joe McCarthy. I just think I kind of want to see how he gets along in this game and just kind of see if he's really, just how well he does going against, the likes of the French because, they're stacked at that position. So it's going to be very fascinating.
Just out of curiosity, who's he going head to head with?
Well, he's number 4, so I believe he would go against. Would it be Williamson? Because I'm not sure how it goes in the lineup.
He'd be up against the French number 4. What's his name?
Oh, okay. Gravel, it's like Gravelas or something like that. I still can't even pronounce it, guys. I'm gonna have to see the commentary and I'll get it straight away. But yeah, no, it'll be fascinating to see because again, I've never seen. I don't even know what team this guy plays for. I mean, I should quickly just search this up just to see. He plays for Stade Française. But yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see how he gets along. Again, I mean, surprisingly, I didn't even mention this before, but I did originally say Paul Williams may have been injured or even a doubt for this game in terms of the Six Nations, but he's starting. So it's that came as a shock to me when I saw the kind of lineups announced. But again, they have Julian Machon off the bench as well. So it's interesting that they've kept Peter Mavaka as well because he's had a very good 2023. So it'll be very fascinating to see kind of if he keeps that spot for the rest of the Six Nations, because that's again another position where France are kind of fortunate to have kind of two world-class kind of hookers in that way. So yeah, we'll see what happens on that front. But yeah, I guess finishing this off now, in terms of your kind of prediction for the game, who do you think is going to win? Do you think France takes it at home, or do you think Ireland can kind of grasp the opportunity away and take it from the French?
Well, it is, of course, the closest game on paper in terms of the betting odds. And there's a good reason for that, and that is because both of these sides are world class. That French backline, I feel like that is their dangerous factor. Whereas this Irish team, you look through and you could almost say their fullback and that backline are both crucial. So, I said that Ireland would win the Six Nations. So, for me, they kind of have to win this game to get into that position. So, they bet the French last year, 32 points to 19. That was when it was an Irish home game. Now, this will be the first home crowd for France since the Rugby World Cup. And this will be the first game for Ireland and France since the Rugby World Cup, when they both lost their quarterfinals. So, redemption's on the cards. And I am going to say the Irish win this game 25 points to 22.
Ooh, okay.
I have no idea how they get to those points. I haven't done the maths. Ireland by 3. Three. I got to get the TH in there, but go on the Irish by 3. To be fair, Ireland do not pronounce 3 as 3, though, do they, Tim?
No, they pronounce it in all sorts of ways. To be fair, but no. This is a tough one. But to be fair, similar to you, I made my prediction video yesterday on my channel, and I actually did say the French would win the Six Nations overall. So it's I go about the French really in this one. So I will say France will win, and I'll go with a scoreline. I think it'll be a tight one, actually. I don't think there'll be like as many. I'll be surprised if it goes into the 30s for this game. So I'm going to keep it kind of low scoring. So I'm going to say 20 points to 17. Or actually, no. Should I even do a bit less than that? I'd say 20 points to 16. Yeah, 20 points to 16 towards the French, I'll say, is my final prediction for the game. But hey, it's going to be a game of margins, really. So we'll see what happens on that front.